Hello, Talk Tuners, and welcome to episode 8. Thanks for hanging with us. We're happy to hear from you again. We're happy to be here as usual. I'm Stephanie Myers.
Hey guys, hola Talk Tuners. It's Stephanie Pena. So glad to see you. It is Sunday today on our day of recording, the Lord's Day. It is Sunday. Thank you for joining us. So what's been going on, Steph? Anything new?
Yeah, there's so much good movies out there lately, and I was just
Mm-hmm.
going to share with Talk Tuners about seeing Summer of Soul, that great new
Oh, right on.
movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
Yep.
directorial debut from Questlove. It's interesting because in interviews he's talked about, I don't even see this as my directorial debut. I see this as trying to bring back this slice of history that really got forgotten.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
he did a great job. What a cool movie! Great historical context. I'll say I'm a
Mm-hmm.
little bit biased. I think my favorite movie genre is probably music documentaries.
Okay.
So I was walking in really excited, and it did not disappoint. This was about for those who don't know, Harlem Cultural Festival that took
Yep.
place
Yep.
over the course of 6 weeks in Harlem. And
Yep.
it featured Nina Simone, The Fifth Dimension, Stevie Wonder, Mavis Staples, Gladys Knight. There was tons more. And this took place again for 6 full weeks, and it was on the scale of Woodstock, really, but didn't
Mm-hmm.
receive a fraction of that coverage, which I guess is not surprising. But when you watch this, it's almost like a little bit of a historical record as you're watching. And it is not just, if you've seen concert films where it's a pretty straightforward concert, this is not that. It's interspersed with clips, interspersed with interviews, interspersed with, they kind of tie it in with a couple of attendees who were really young
Mm-hmm.
when they went. This was 1969, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And some were talking about the experience as if they had thought they'd imagined it and got
Sure.
really emotional when saying, well, thanks for finally giving a voice to this. Because some days I think about that 6 week festival. I was a little kid. It meant so much to me to see myself
Yeah.
reflected here at this show.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really emotional to watch these attendees seeing this footage again and talking
Yeah.
about it and talking about what that time meant to them. So I don't know if you've seen it yet. I believe it's theaters and Hulu. We're not
Yeah.
paid to talk about it, by the way, guys. We just really enjoyed it.
Yeah. It's on. I saw it on Hulu. I didn't go pay to see in the theater. It was awesome. Yeah, right on. Absolutely. You guys, Harlem, it's a neighborhood, right? It's not a field. So Woodstock in a field. This is in city limits. People all up on each other for 6 weeks. Amazing. Artists that are playing, legendary artists that are playing the stage. It's something else. So check it out. Well, today we are talking about an icon, a legend, a super badass. His name is Tom Petty.
Tom Petty.
Yep,
There's
Tom Petty.
talk about, an artist who, again, is so near and dear to our hearts, which I feel has been our theme lately. We just talk about these artists who we have so much personal history with and who are so
Mm-hmm.
important to us. And Tom Petty really runs through our veins, definitely has these touchstones and memories in our friendship, which I'm excited to tell
Yep.
listeners all about. I know we're thinking about the funny memories too with Tom. He's just, Tom is a legend. Tom was so great. Tom Petty on his own, and of course Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. We talk about
Yeah.
just the depth of his musical contributions, but also him as a person. I saw him play 6 times. Really feel lucky about that. The final time I saw him,
Yeah.
it's just amazing. Yeah, just such a good show. He knows how to work a crowd, of course, somebody who's just an expert in that. The final time I saw him was in Newark, which ended up being
Mm.
really just a couple short months before he passed.
Oh,
And
that's right. Yeah, I remember you saw him right before he passed. That's cool. That's
it
really awesome.
was
That's special.
very, yes. Nobody could have predicted it. And even his children, I believe, had talked.
Yeah, because he seems super healthy, right?
Yeah. And they had talked with the media too a little bit about he was so good at pretending to push past his pain, be fully
Yeah,
functional on tour,
that's
that it was
awesome.
hard for them to even to see with the depth of what was happening. And
Right.
he's, just a consummate showman in that way. But certainly nobody saw that this would be, I think nobody saw or predicted that this would be what ended up being his final tour. But he was so great on it. And again, one of my musical heroes, and just such a cool person. And I always say, I think you and I had talked a little bit about this, but Tom Petty is so inextricably linked to summer for me.
Yeah.
Always has been. And I think it's seeing him play
Mm-hmm.
these outdoor shows, seeing
Right.
him play really in his element.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of just embodies all about summer, and even his music, I think it runs through the strains of the music itself. So I think I'd always associate him with summer, and just to have him not here in these subsequent summers always still be a little bit of a shock, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I associate with summer? I associate Prosecco with summer. And
That's
can
cool.
I can think about a good night of us drinking Prosecco and listening to Tom, because that is summer.
I like that. I like
Dude,
that so much.
sitting back and listening to Tom, having a good time.
Yeah.
Love me some Tom
Oh, I
Petty.
love that. That's a great memory. Yeah, he's just,
Yeah.
so tied into that. And of course, we like to remember the good times, even if these folks are not with us anymore. But such a discography, such a cool
Mm-hmm.
person, and such a part of Florida life, which he always was very open about his roots, Florida being where he's from, Gainesville specifically, which is where the band
Mm-hmm.
started. And I, like I said, I'm a longtime fan. And I happened to visit Gainesville for work when he was still with us at this point. And
Mm-hmm.
I was excited about that because I assumed there was going to be some kind of tribute to him. I didn't expect, here's the Tom Petty House Museum or something, but something that was a marker or acknowledgement of this giant
Yeah.
band that came out of Gainesville, which is not a
Right.
comparatively large city. It's a college town, but not a comparatively large city. And I just
Sure.
remember they had nothing, and I was so surprised by that. I think after his passing, there's a little bit more in terms of markers, but I just thought,
Mm-hmm.
man, what a, you know, opportunity to really mark somebody who contributed so much. And he's, everybody knows the name. Everybody knows the
Yeah.
name Tom Petty.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Tom is a household name for sure. I saw Tom Petty for the first time, I want to say in May. Actually, yeah, May 2001, y'all, was the first time that I saw Tom Petty live. He opened up the Verizon Wireless Amphitheater in San Antonio with the Wallflowers.
wow,
That was
that's great.
fun. Yeah, that was really cool. That was it was a sold out crowd. Definitely just had a really good feel. So you say, yeah, summer. Well, for me, like I love spring. Spring is party time. So what I can resonate with that is like Tom is just party time. Tom is just good times and smiles.
I like that.
But yeah. And I have, of course, it was great. That was one of the reasons why we became friends. You like Tom Petty, I like Tom Petty. Yeah, it was meant to be. We're gonna be friends for life.
So many
Only
common threads, right?
exactly. Well, I have a friend who actually was able to partake in a marijuana cigarette with Tom Petty. Like, how cool is that? And check it out. So supposedly it was like he was at his uncle's house, or maybe, yeah, it had to be his uncle's. It wasn't his dad's house. He was already a grown man. Anyway, but he's hanging out with fam, and they're like, hey, Tom's gonna come over, and everyone's like, okay, whatever, right? And well, my buddy didn't know who they were talking about, just a
Like
friend named
they
Tom.
just said Tom,
Just
right? For
Tom.
listeners to
Yeah.
understand, like they just said
Yeah.
Tom's coming over. Nobody knew who the hell.
Yeah, it's just like
Definite.
Tom.
Yeah, Tom's gonna come
Yeah,
over. You're like,
well,
all right, Tom's gonna come over.
that's fine. My friend was like, "Yeah, his uncle said this," and then Tom Petty showed up, y'all. Tom Petty showed up at the front door. How cool is that? What the flying fuck?
I mean, was your friend also at this point
Wow.
just like, I mean, how do you even react? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing that would have mentally prepared for me to be like, someone's coming over. His name happens to be Tom, and then Tom Petty.
Tom Petty, really? Yeah, yeah. So I did ask him that. I'm like, how'd you react? Like, I probably would have fainted, you know? Like, well, apparently he didn't geek out the way I would, or probably you would, Stephanie. And Homeboy ended up smoking some weed with him, which is phenomenal. I can't even fathom how cool that was. So he was like, "Yeah, Tom was really nice. He was just down to earth dude." And my friend is a very down to earth guy. Comes from a very humble background. He is not. I was not hanging out with people that made monies, y'all. This is just like anyway. I'm definitely not one of those kids, man. I didn't come from that fucking lifestyle. So it was pretty cool. He hung out with just a normal ass person. Go Tom.
I mean, yeah, it's hard for me to even fathom.
Can you imagine that? It's crazy.
No,
That's
I can't.
Cool.
But it always, I remember when you first told me that story, and I could not wrap my mind around it. But it's just so good. Like everything about it, you know what I mean? Showing up, I just imagine him as the Mad Hatter in one of his music videos, actually showing up at somebody's door in full character. You always just thought he was character. But yeah, no, it's a great story.
Girl, if he came over as Mad Hatter, I'd be so scared. So we're definitely talking. We're gonna flesh on that in a little bit because that's from his videos. And there's so much to talk about with Tom. So something with Tom, you're talking about just being scary, right? Well, I think that the Mad Hatter was scary. It was spooky. I think of American Girl. When I hear Silence of the Lambs, I think of American Girl, and it's like, what the fuck? Like Silence of the Lambs being so freaky, but I will always associate poor victim of Buffalo Bill driving and jamming out to Tom Petty, American Girl, and then all of a sudden bad things are happening. But I love it. I love that movie. I saw that movie actually last weekend. Girl. Awesome. I was amazing. Awesome. Come on, everyone likes Silence of the Lambs. Jodie Foster is so good in that movie. Anyway. Yeah, so Anthony Hopkins, Tom Petty, good stuff. I even think about Tom Petty also with the NBA. So like Tom Petty is just like one of my favorite artists, but he definitely plays a role in other facets of my life outside of music that I love, like horror. He's in one of my favorite horror films. I also associate him when I think about the NBA, like when it's finals time. ESPN or ABC, whoever, they're owned by the same company, whatever, was playing the finals. They would always play Running Down a Dream, Tom Petty. So that was like the soundtrack, like Tom Petty's everywhere. Everybody loves Tom.
Everybody loves Tom.
Yeah, that was like 2006 NBA playoffs finals. Running Down a Dream was the theme song of that particular season. Like, how cool is that? Like, it's just a lot of inspiration. I mean, think about it. He's associated with the best, professional athletes. He's gold.
Absolutely. So good.
What about your favorite song, Stephanie?
I got my favorite songs. I got some of my favorite albums of his. What's so interesting is how he has always been so prevalent on classic rock radio from all eras too, from debut album, down through his later day stuff. And they were and they just keep that going on classic rock stations, and it just it has that timeless feel, and that's a credit to his songwriting, credit to folks he partnered with too. Yeah. And I love those radio staples, and I will be here all day if we start to talk about them, all of them. I like some of the little bit deeper cuts. I'd say Change of Heart is one of my favorites. I love Hope You Never. There's a great B-side that was released after his passing called Keep a Little Soul. That's one of my favorites of his. And then one you do hear on the radio pretty often, Even the Losers. Love it. But I always kind of have in my mind, like, what are my top 5 Petty songs? Like, I'm going to quiz myself on this, but this is something I do think about a lot. And I know that you do too. Like, you have your favorite, kind of like marking eras of your life with his music.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's awesome. I really do love Even the Losers. And yeah, I think about certain songs, and Tom has definitely had a major impact on my life. Seeing him at the Verizon Wire amphitheater. I think about his favorite my favorite albums. And I think about Wallflowers. Wallflowers is definitely my favorite. Something I can listen to beginning to end. And I remember taking a trip out to the hill country from San Antonio as a kid and just being able to cruise and listen to this. And it just brought so much joy. So when I think about Tom Petty, it's nothing but positive stuff. And I'm so excited to talk about his work, continue talking about his work.
Wildflowers is such a good album.
Yeah, and definitely. As far as Tom goes, he was not only talented just with songwriting and performing, but also his videos, which was a major part of music at that time, which is music. I say this all the time. I watch too much MTV for my own good, but it's true. I'm sure you did too, right? And when MTV was on, when Tom Petty video came on, you remembered it. It stuck with you. It was something else. It was like a little film. And the first one that I remember that really got me into Tom's world was Mary Jane's Last Dance, with Kim Basinger playing dead. Kim Basinger was just dead. And just dead.
Folks haven't seen this. It's a weird video, and it's an amazing video. You're like, oh,
so cool.
Okay.
It's so dark. It's beautiful. Yeah. 1993 is when it came out. I was in the 7th grade, and that really like sucked me in, being, the little bit of the dark-hearted person. And then it was funny. I started going back into, his other videos, and Don't Come Around Here No More, which was filmed in 1985. It tripped me out, and it still trips me out. Jeff Steen is the director of this video, and basically what it is a retake of Alice in Wonderland, and it's just a lot more out there. It's a little bit more intense. It freaked me out because Tom Petty's the Mad Hatter, and he has like really big teeth, and I don't know, it was creepy to me. Steph, how did you feel about this video?
Yeah, it's a weird one. The concept is definitely designed to get a lot of airplay, which is what, it's great that we're talking about his music videos, because I've heard so much great things as far as critical acclaim about how he managed to transcend generations and genres within the music industry, was to harness the visual power of music videos, because he knew just frankly, the marketing that it would provide to have a powerful music video. And so it's like, I know we even have some more of those to talk about, but he was so good about saying, all right, yeah, you've played me 70s, you've played me up to this point. How am I going to transcend generations? How am I going to keep going? How am I going to get people to keep talking about me? Yeah. Such a good businessman,
Genius.
Just so good. So his videos hold a really special place in my heart, because he just got more and more creative with them. And
what was your favorite video?
I loved Mary Jane's Last Dance, but I will say I really enjoyed Into the Great Wide Open a lot.
That's my favorite. Awesome.
It's really, really good. I wonder if it's one of those that was played so often that it was hard to miss. But now I'm realizing, like, in this era, we might have some listeners who've never seen this, and it really is a mini movie, right? We always talk about how it's a mini movie. Yeah.
Yeah, Johnny Depp is playing Eddie Rebel. It's basically a story of Eddie Rebel and his, rise to fame and his fall and his whole little life. And Johnny Depp being all hot, and you have China Phillips from Wilson Phillips. She's in it as well. Matt LeBlanc does a cameo, and Faye Dunaway is actually Johnny Depp's manager. How funny is that? Anyway, Eddie Rebel is supposed to be like a 1950s kind of like James Dean, rockabilly type artist. And anyway, it's really fun. And so Tom Petty and Johnny Depp had a really good relationship. And when Petty passed in October of 2017, Johnny Depp, I was doing some reading on Billboard.com, and Johnny Depp says he got really emotional, or he gets really emotional when you talk about the passing of Petty. And one of his fondest memories is him giving Tom Petty a call and say, "Hey, you still smoking?" Tom would go, "Yeah, I'm still smoking," and I'd feel better. Well, if Tom is smoking, I'm okay. I loved him.
Such a great quote from Johnny Depp. It's so good. It's so good. That makes me so happy.
Oh my God, Johnny Depp, man. Johnny Depp, Tom Petty is so good. So
Hanging out,
good.
hanging out together.
Well, you talk about Stephanie, it's so absolutely so on point about he crosses genres and he's always going to be talked about. Well, what about, the video that we see, the Beatles cover, While My Guitar Gently Weeps? I associated right now with Prince, but it's a Tom Petty like lead. It was Tom Petty, Prince, Steve Winwood, Jeff Lynne doing that cover at the 2004 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. That energy, holy shit.
Right?
Wow.
So good, and what a deserved Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. I thinking about him and Jeff Lynne when they were together, of course, the Traveling Wilburys, and how good that was too as a partnership. Just managed to transcend while he was simultaneously climbing up the charts, I believe, solo.
Yes.
And joining out for the Traveling Wilburys and doing a crazy, crazy job. And that was, of course, My Guitar Gently Weeps, written by George Harrison. George Harrison's in Traveling Wilburys. So the synergy of that moment, what a transcendent moment.
How cool is that? So yeah, I mean, Tom was just up in everybody. I would never ever pick Tom and Prince playing guitar together. I just wouldn't. I mean, this is just shows like how fucking cool Tom was. Tom was just the shit. So check it out, man. Loving Tom, loving everything about him, his videos. So Steph and I have a really great story about us venturing out to Homedale, New Jersey in June of 2005 to go see Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. All right, Steph, kick it.
We do have a great story around this. So, of course, our personal story around Tom Petty, or probably our favorite personal story around Tom Petty, involves seeing him at a show together. And this, again, we're at Homedale, New Jersey. For this story, we're back yet again at the PNC Bank Arts Center. I believe this is the third time we've referenced PNC in an episode.
At least.
Go back to the Chris Cornell episode for a story there, and a Bowie episode. There's some little gems, but it feels like we saw like quite a few shows there. And it was a great show that we went to go see on a school night. And we got there via public transportation coming from Brooklyn. So anyone who's in the tri-state area, you're coming from Brooklyn, you're going to Homedale, New Jersey, which is not like you're going to Jersey City on a train. But it's showing our love of Petty, really, to be able to do all this on a school night, which must have been, 2.5, 3 hours each way, public transport, getting out there.
Yeah, Stephanie, it was. Like, we had to plan it out and make sure we could do it. Because again, this was a Wednesday. It was a school night. So I don't know. I know Stephanie said it was a school night, but it was a Wednesday. Like I actually Googled this day. I was like, I need to remember. When I was thinking about this story, I was like, when did Tom Petty play at PNC? And I was like, yes, it was June 22nd. So I had to get the feel for it. Just such a good story. So yeah, I mean, I'm living in Bushwick. And I think you're in South Slope in Brooklyn, right, Steph, at the time. And so we had to make sure we're still working. Like we went and partied hard and went to work the next day, all buttoned up and polished and kicking ass. So like we were all New York. Anyway, we're like, all right, we're getting there. So this trek, we have to take, of course, the subway to, we would take that to New Jersey Transit. And that would be, I guess, from 34th Street? Trying to remember the track.
Like, if folks are not from the area, we're going to Madison Square Garden It was Penn Station, and taking the
There you
train
go.
all the way out, public transportation. But
Yeah.
it's not like this train went directly to the venue. So
No,
it really took us on
no.
the first leg of what was this random journey that kind of took us all over that night.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I just want to definitely paint that picture, y'all. So, Stephanie and I are used to driving ourselves, everywhere. That's how we grew up. We're from Texas. But, being in New York, there are going to be times where you're going to see shows that aren't in the city. And the coolest thing about living on the East Coast is that you have that public trans, right? So me as a Texan, I'm like, this is the coolest shit ever. But y'all, when we were on the train in New Jersey, they did not drop us off right at the venue. No, no. They dropped us off in some podunk random town. And when we were exited off the train, we were then led to a school bus, a yellow school bus, like a school bus.
Like a
What?
school bus to get to
We
the Tom
are
Petty
coming
show.
from New York City to go get in some podunk town country to get on a bus.
School bus to go see Tom Petty. To go see Tom Petty, get on a school bus. Yep.
We get on and then we take off maybe about 10 minutes later, and we were told that this is the only bus going to the PNC Baycard Center, and we had to be there, I think, like at 10 o'clock or whatever, right? And this is the deal. Bye. But the funny thing is that there was some type of crazy sing-along happening where we're on our way to PNC. Like, it was like the most special shit.
It was
I was like, oh
surreal.
my God. Yeah. Like, again, we're coming from New York and then we end up in the country on a school bus. I didn't even ride the bus when I was in high school. Like, this is not.
Yeah. So to Stephanie's point, like they're like, this is one bus to get there. It's one bus to get back. And we literally said, come back here. You need to be here 10 p.m. It doesn't matter if the show's done. There's one bus that's coming back. So it's just like,
one.
yeah. So it's like after we're dropped off, we're just like, oh, well, that's interesting. I guess hope the show's going to be done by then. But what a weird. This was pre-Uber. This was our way back. So that we're like, all right, noted. And we go into the show.
Exactly. And we were going to like get a cab to go across state lines. At that time, it was hard to just get a cab to go to Brooklyn from the city. We had no money.
It was a big deal.
Yeah, girl. I was making no money. So anyway, but we had a good time. And Steph, we got tickets to sit on the hillside.
We got tickets to sit on that hill, yeah.
Yeah, so I know that hill holds a special place in your heart.
It does. I saw a lot of shows there.
Yeah.
But of course, if folks are familiar kind of with the general pavilion structure, you got the covered seats, and then you got your little hill seats, and that hill right on the grass, that's where you go and make friends. There's whether or not you want them, right? Like you're sitting there talking, you bring your blankets, and all of a sudden there's just people usually that kind of materialize around you who want to be your friend. And that's the beauty of sitting on the grass for these types of shows. And so, of course, this night was no exception.
No. It wasn't at all. Well, so random. This dude comes up to me, makes small talk, really just normal, nothing, just a normal guy. Start talking to me and stuff. And he has a group of some other friends too. And he was like, can I buy you a beer? And I'm like, I'm young, broke, and I got here on a fucking school bus. Can you please give me a beer? Goddamn right. Thank you. So I get my $10 beer. I got my $10 beer for free. One beer. That means something, right? But anyway, I'm special. But so special. And anyway, I'm so dumb, right? And whatever, we're all hanging out, and I remember stuff. You had like some of his weirdo friends, or they weren't even weirdo. They were just normal people. We're talking to you, and this guy was just getting too like fresh. And what I mean by that, ladies and gentlemen, is that it was like a Winnie and Kevin from the Wonder Years like moment. I felt like it was for him. Because he was just a little cheesy, and but there was really no chemistry, no fireworks, there was no nada for me. So I wasn't feeling like, yeah, I don't know. We parted ways, and okay, I know I'm weird. I know that was weird, y'all. I know that was weird. But that's just how I think about that moment. It was supposed to be like it, but it totally wasn't.
It was
Anyway, so
weird. Yeah, he was trying to engender a moment or whatever, and we're sitting there trying to enjoy the sweet strains of Tom Petty,
yeah,
who is playing all the hits. Like we're really enjoying it, and like, oh well, okay, like this is cool. And again, like just imagine like it's us and then a semicircle of these randos at this point, because
yeah,
that's what the lawn brings about in people, which we kind of knew
yeah. You
would
just
happen, but it was
socialize.
still, yeah, it was still sort of hilarious. And I do feel like at that point, you and I had to like make an excuse to, I think, scoot over or go somewhere else. Like we were literally
Oh,
making
girl.
excuses.
I think literally I was like, I need to go to the restroom. So this is when girls go to the restroom together. It's like, yes, ladies, restroom break. Goodbye. It was, yeah. We did not spend that much time there. No, because we had a show to watch because we were there for Tom. And fuck yeah, he put on a badass show. So lucky that we got rid of those dudes. It was, oh, it was so good. So good. Well, we're jamming. I mean, it was a beautiful night. It was in June and it wasn't too hot. Like, it was really beautiful.
It was a gorgeous night. Yeah.
And we got lost in the music. And remember, y'all, we came in on a school bus, a yellow school bus, and was told to be at a certain area. It was basically like, be by this tree with this white marking at 10 o'clock, like in this forested like parking lot. It was crazy. And I was like, oh, we're in the music, we're like mesmerized in Tom's world, and we're like, oh shit, it's like 9:45 or something like that, Stephanie. It was like 9:50. I don't know. Yeah, was it me or you that noticed the time? I don't know, girl.
It was it was one of us, and we'd realized because it wasn't like there was a mass exodus of people that were now
Right.
going to get on the bus, so there was no indication. It was just like, oh, I hope you set an alarm, guys, because we told you 10 o'clock before. And Tom's still going full force. I don't think he'd even
Right.
gotten to the first encore by then, and I do remember that. And I was like, Stephanie, is that kind of our way out? And are we about to miss the bus again? Which does seem like a theme for us. If you guys go back to the Tears for Fears episode, we're in Vegas seeing Daft Punk. We're about to miss the bus in the desert. But in this case, it's a freaking school bus. It's a school bus, and there's one of them. And that's the only way we have. Yeah, in Holmesville. And it's the only way we have back to New York City. That's it. It's our only way.
It was like Friday the 13th, y'all. It was straight up. You think New Jersey, I think Friday the 13th, and it was straight up Friday the 13th. It was, y'all. Okay, so we like realize it's that time, and it's like, holy shit. We go to the spot, the forested area, like with the white dot, and the fucking bus is leaving. We had to literally chase after it.
It was leaving.
Oh,
yeah.
my
It wasn't
God.
like stopping. It was leaving. Yeah.
No, it was done. We got so lucky, Stephanie. Oh my God.
We did. We wouldn't have had a way back. Like there was no way back. There was no other options back then. I just remember
Yeah.
being
I
like,
cried.
you know what? Like seeing Tom tonight, honestly, like this is crazy, but this is worth it. This is worth the weird
Exactly.
night, weeknight, middle of the week. Yeah, we're chasing a bus. We're grown women chasing a school bus in a parking lot so we can cross state lines, get home.
Yeah. That's love because Tom Petty's that damn good. That's what you're going to do. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Tom
Oh
Petty
my God.
inspires that love, and we knew it'd be like, all right, yep, it's gonna be school night, probably gonna be weird. Didn't really picture we are gonna be chasing a yellow school bus, but there we were. There we were. We
So
did it.
good.
We did it.
So
It stopped.
good. Oh
Didn't
my
let us get
God.
on.
That was the last time I saw Tom Petty live, and y'all, for y'all looking on YouTube, and for y'all, of course, listening here, Stephanie got me a really cool book, Tom Petty and Me by John Scott, for my birthday, and so Tom is definitely our dude, man, and yeah, this is. I can keep going, Steph. I mean, you got what else we got about Tom?
we could talk probably all day about Tom and different parts of our lives that he brought us around to. But you know, he's just one of those people that's always gonna live on. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to because I drive now. I'm in San Antonio, so I'm not using public transportation. Like, what is that? So I have Sirius and Tom Petty radio. That's been a staple in my car for a minute. So yeah, Tom Petty's so cool that he has a standing station all to himself. Like it's not going anywhere. It's been around since like 2016. So yeah, in 2017 he passed. So yeah, I listen to that. That's a staple on my Sirius radio. And yeah, I mean, Tom is just cool. And I'm happy I was able to see him live.
He's so good. He's so good. And I just always think about how this season, especially this time of year, it's just so joined with Tom for me. And I know he's probably jamming out in that great summer concert in the sky. If anybody is, he's up there, probably with a few of the traveling Wilburys.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. 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 Well, um, I had a great time. I think now I'm ready to go. It's summertime. Let me get some Prosecco. Let me listen to some Tom Petty. Let me dance around my living room. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way to celebrate him. I like that a lot, and I think he'd fully approve. It's just an awesome, awesome dude. Well, we'd love to hear your Tom Petty memories, Talk Tuners. You can reach out to us directly if you'd like at stephaniestalktunes@gmail.com. And we are on all the socials. So please reach out to us over there. Follow or send us a message. It's Stephanie's Talk Tunes on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And we're Stephanie's Talk on Twitter. And I just want to also shout out folks for these great Apple Podcast reviews that folks are leaving. Really appreciate it, and they make a huge difference. If you want to drop one of
Thank
those, and you've
you.
been, yes, thank you. If you want to drop one and you've been enjoying the show, please feel free to. It makes a big difference for us. So just want to have gratitude for that and say thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been so much fun. It's always fun. So please talk to us. Tell us your stories. I know y'all have been seeing, I know someone listening to us right now has seen Tom Petty and has a good story to share. So we want to hear it. All right, guys. I'm out. See y'all next time. Bye.
Bye, Talk Tuners. See you later.